So, I first started riding motorcycles back when I was in high school. I had a 1985 TS 185. That I had to restore for a school project. So I had that, rode that, realized that it was like zero power. It had nothing. It really sucked. You know, a lot of my buddies had, you know, KX 250s, you know, CR 250s, and here I am on a fucking old ass motorcycle, slow as shit. My buddy's KX 80 was faster than my 185. So, where I used to work, I used to drive past a motorcycle shop and found a 2002 KTM 125 SX. Rode that for the longest time, enjoyed the hell out of it. Best bike ever that I, you know, motorcycle, dirt bike, whatever you want to say. Sorry about that, had to adjust my helmet. Loved it. You know, got really good at it. Couldn't ride wheelies on it though. Just could never ride a wheelie on it. I practiced and practiced and practiced. Just couldn't do it. So, started jumping it. Was able to do a Superman. Was the best trick I was able to get up to. And, you know, got really good at tricks-wise. You know, could tabletop stuff. A little bit of a tail whip, you know, here and there. And then I deployed to Iraq in 2004 to 2005, and when I came home, my goal was to buy a street bike. I watched the movie Biker Boys, and I was hooked. I had to have a bike. Had to have a bike. So my first bike of choice, which all of you will laugh because I laugh about it to this day, is a Katana 600. And as everybody knows, a Katana 600 is a piece of shit. It absolutely has zero power. It's just straight garbage. Why they made the bike, I honestly have no idea. You know, I understand why there's cruisers and stuff, but why make a cruiser crotch rocket looking thing that is just slow? Just downright slow. So I talked to one of the guys down there and, you know, said about it, and he was like, listen, don't buy that bike, it's a piece of shit. You know, again, I didn't know better because I really didn't look into it much. I just knew that I wanted a bike, and I'll be honest, I liked the way that it looked, and it was like really in my price range. Was like 90% of the reason why I was going to buy one, because they're fairly cheap, because I was going to buy new. I don't buy anything used unless I really, really have to. My bike here, brand new, I bought it. You know, I've done everything to it. I've had everything, you know, done to it. You know, I didn't buy somebody else's used, beat, fucking smoked piece of shit. Everybody always will say, oh, it's only got 3,000 miles on it. Well, I know a couple of my buddies whose motors at 6,000 miles blew the fuck up because they rode them like a dickhead when they first bought it. No. Mine came with a break-in period. I did the break-in period. You know, I didn't go over so many thousand RPMs the first 100, you know, 500 miles. I didn't go over so many thousand, you know, RPMs after the first, you know, 1,000 miles. I think it was all the way up to 1,500 that I could finally crank her up. And it sucked. My top speed my first 500 miles was like, you know, 50 mile an hour, 60. So this was my first bike that I bought. It, you know, everybody always tells me, you know, okay, back to the, you know, the Katana. So I talked to my one buddy, and he told me, he goes, listen, I know what you're going to want to do with the bike. I said, yeah, I watch Biker Boys. I'm going to ride wheelies and do stoppies. Plain and fucking simple. That is my intent, has been my intent, and will always be my intent when riding one of these. So, the only reason I'm not riding a wheelie now is because, of course, A, this car is in front of me, and B, I'm trying to get to work, and I'm not trying to fucking fool around. So, I talked to my buddy, and he goes, listen, he goes, I'm telling you right now, go buy a GSXR 750. And I didn't know what the hell he's talking about. So, you know, go home, get on the computer, start looking them up. Realize that to buy one, it's $9,400. I don't want to fucking spend $9,400 on a fucking motorcycle. You know that we only ride a few times out of the year because our weather around here sucks. This is June 9th, right? June 9th. It's like 60 degrees out. Like, we don't get awesome riding weather like the people down south that ride their bike, you know, half of the year. I mean, I've taken my bike out 6 times this year, and it's June. So he told me to buy the 750. I went down, worked the deal. I ended up walking out of the door with my bike with a 5-year extended warranty for 10 grand cash, you know, 10 grand. So paid for that. Loved the bike ever since that. Just there's nothing bad I can really say about this bike. You know, I've had some recall work done on it. I had my STVA go bad on me, but again, I had that. What it was is a 5-year unlimited mileage warranty. So my STVA went. I had my FI light come on, went down, took it down to Cernix, which is our local bike shop, and they were like, hey, your throttle body's shot, you got to get a new one. I was like, well, is that covered by warranty? And he said, yeah. So we got a new STVA put on, which you can't just get an STVA. You had to actually put a whole throttle body on it. That was $1,000 that I did not have to pay to fix, which was fantastic. The other thing is too, I had the same thing that everybody else has usually with these, is the rectifier in the back. One day I went out to start my bike. It acted funny, but it started. We rode it, me and my wife, well, girlfriend at the time. We went to the movies, got back on the bike, wouldn't start, went and caught it in gear, wouldn't keep running. So I had to go home, get my little trailer, load my bike up, and found out that it was that. So took it back down to Cernix. Again, now this is after I put flush mount turn signals on it. I put an integrated tail light in it, you know, and I'm like, well, fuck, you know, it's electronic. Of course, it's going to be my fault. But they deemed that it was not my lights that caused it, because I actually cut my wiring harness underneath my seat to put in my relay to slow down my blinkers so they don't blink real fast. So I'm like, yeah, they're definitely gonna, you know, can me on that. So I went back, looked at my wiring harness, and I actually cut that relay off so I didn't have to buy another one. But yeah, so I've had the bike now going on, you know, 10 full years that I've owned it, and I love the fucking thing. You know, I can't say enough about it. I will tell you this, my buddy that has a GSXR 1000, that thing is a monster. If anybody is thinking about getting a GSXR 1000, I'm telling you right now, you better have a little bit of riding experience, or you better be prepared to get that butthole puckered a little bit, because that thing is ridiculous. I mean, it makes my 750 seem like a piece of shit. I mean, that thing wheelies in first and second like it's nothing. Third gear, clutch up. Fourth gear, I can stand up, clutch it up. In fifth gear, I can stand that bike up at over 100 mile an hour. Now, granted, it's not just a little burn and it comes up, but I can get it to go. I can get it to ride a wheelie in fifth gear. I mean, that's insane. Yeah, I'm just trying to get to work. I have like fucking 6 minutes. So we're gonna bury the needle a little bit here. Hopefully there's no cops following me. I was supposed to leave a few minutes ago, well, a few minutes earlier, and I did, but I couldn't find my badge. I had no idea where it was at. None. I looked, you know, looked, and it was under a pile of clothes that I had moved. So, yeah, we're gonna try to speed it up here a little bit. So, with me being new to the moto vlogs and stuff, you know, I've seen quite a few, you know, chase on two wheels, do it with Dan, Jake, you know, Jake the Garden Snake. There was a couple others, and I thought to myself, you know, I always have so much to talk about whenever I'm riding. I wish I could talk to somebody, so I thought this would be perfect. You know, I'm going to have numerous subjects about tires and, you know, wheels and getting things powder coated and chrome, what stuff to buy for your bike, what things I think are, you know, kind of a waste, what things, little things I think are great. My idea of, after riding for so long, of, you know, things that new riders can get for their motorcycle. And I really hope that this isn't that windy, but I'm trying to get to work. I mean, the speed limit here is 60 and I'm doing 80. I'm trying to make up some ground here. If I'm late to work, I'm late to work. It's not a big deal. They're usually cool with it, but again, it was I couldn't find my access badge to get into the office, so we just have some traffic up here I'll have to get through, and hopefully it won't be too bad, and move over because I'm not a douchebag. Let this guy get out, you know what I mean? And that's the thing too, bikers, you know, I'm going to talk about different things about respect. I don't lane split here in PA. You know, some people lane split to get ahead of traffic. I think it's the biggest asshole move ever. I understand, you know, why people go in the middle of the lane. You know, there's been times where, you know, I've seen videos where cars plow into the back of a truck that was stopped because they weren't paying attention and the bike was off to the side. Excuse me, and they missed the bike, you know, where most likely it would have probably fucking killed them. But, you know, I'm not going to lane split. Never have. Probably, I mean, I guess I can't say I never have. There's definitely points in time where I have went between cars, but it was never, they were side by side and split. I try to be courteous to everybody. You know, if you're courteous to people, and I always pay attention, you know. When I'm sitting on my bike, I can keep an eye on the car that's coming up here behind me. Looks like they're slowing down. You know, I'm not one of those people that are trying to give the crotch rockets a bad name. Wow, limo. Don't really see those often around here. So yeah, so, you know, I'm gonna try my best to talk about different subjects. I mean, there's so much experience and so much knowledge that I feel that I have that I could help out new riders that you can't just sit down and talk to them about. So I'm only a few minutes away from work, so I'll ride a little bit more and then, you know, shut it off. But like a lot of these guys, they said they have a lot of dead time when they talk. Not this guy. Man, I can fucking talk people's ears off. I always have something to say. I can talk to people for hours. You know, I just pick a subject and go. It's just that, you know, this one here is more or less my beginning to moto vlogging. You know, I can tell you a little bit more about myself. I'm not going to be one of those people that hide shit. You know, like, oh, I don't want to show you my face. Whatever. You want to see my face? If a cop wants to find my video on YouTube and give me a ticket for riding wheelies, by all means, be my guest. I'm not going to be like, oh, I don't want to get caught. Well, then, don't be a fucking bitch, you know. You're going to do dumb shit. You'll win stupid prizes, I always say, you know. Yeah, you want to go out and do crazy stuff, ride wheelies, and then a cop catches you, well then don't ride wheelies. You know, my thing is if a cop catches me because on YouTube, by all means, whatever, you know. If that's what he has to do to write a ticket, then that's what he has to do to write a ticket. You know, I'm not one of those people that are going to be like, well, you know, I mean, I've been pulled over, shit, probably like 3 or 4 times getting caught riding wheelies, and I've only ever got a ticket for one of them. The other times where I was riding with a group of my buddies, and a state trooper came up behind me, caught me riding a wheelie, and you know, I was just respectful, you know, yes sir, no sir, and it ended up coming down to he was a former former Marine reservist, and I'm in the National Guard, so of course, you know, military boys, we like to stick together. So, you know, at first he was a dick, you know, screaming and yelling at me. He, you know, I mean, what it was is we were riding Willie, and then I saw there was a semi-truck, so I tried to cut in front of the semi-truck and slam on my brakes, thinking he would have to go past. No, he was a smart cop. He slammed on his brakes, cut in behind the semi-truck, didn't realize that I was stopped, because, you know, he didn't realize that's what I was doing. So he came flying in behind me. I mean, there was like 4 tire marks. Me and my buddy went back, and he almost ran me over. So I think that was part of it. You know, I actually had to move forward, or he would have ran me over. So you know, he's yelling at me, you know, get off the bike, you know, take your helmet off, you know, what if you would have did this and somebody would have ran you over, and then I'd have to tell your family. And I'm like, well, then I guess I'd be dead and I wouldn't care, is what I was thinking. But, you know, I was like, I understand, you know, but he's like, you know, all this stuff going back and forth. And finally, he, when he tried to pull up the information for me, he was actually on his way to work, so he didn't have his computer system up. He didn't have anything, you know, up. He's like, I don't even know if I had camera on. He goes, you could have probably ran and got away. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to run. You know, there's no point in running. All that does is make shit worse, you know. So I pulled over, and, you know, he just more or less gave me an earful. But he ended up giving me a warning. And then, like, 5 years later, my wife is teaching his son how to ice skate, you know, which I thought was hilarious. You know, it's a small world, you know, shit, you know, that's how things are. But I actually went up and talked to him about it, and he at first he was a little like, oh, what do I say? And I was like, hey, it's okay, you know, you caught me, no big deal. I'm not, you know, it's not like it's his fault that I got in trouble, you know what I mean? You know, I can't really blame somebody that I was doing something stupid and I got caught. You know what I mean? You know, you really can't say nothing to somebody who, if you're doing stupid stuff and you get caught, I mean, it's not really it's not their fault, you know? It's not like he made me ride a wheelie, you know?